Hey friends, it's me, and welcome back to the Daily English Listening Stories, where English becomes simple, real, and fun. Let me start with a confession. I used to avoid talking to foreigners, not because I didn't want to, but because I was scared. Scared they would speak too fast. Scared I wouldn't understand. Scared I'd look stupid. So what did I do? I smiled. I nodded. I pretended I understood. But inside, I was completely lost. Have you ever felt that way? That moment when someone speaks English to you and your brain just freezes. You catch a few words like, yeah, or okay, but everything else sounds like noise. If yes, stay with me, because today I'm going to show you how I went from frustration to flow in English listening. And by the end of this episode, you'll know exactly what to do to make English finally click in your ears. Let me take you back to the beginning. I remember my first real conversation with a foreigner. His name was Tom. He was from the US, friendly guy, always smiling. He said, "Hey man, how's it going?" And I just froze. My brain screamed, "What did he say?" So I smiled and said, Fine, and you?" Even though I didn't really understand the question. He laughed, said something else, and I nodded again, like a robot. That day, I went home and thought, why is this so hard? I study grammar, I know vocabulary, so why can't I understand real people? I felt so frustrated. But here's what I realized later. The problem wasn't my ears. It was my approach. I was listening to words, but I wasn't listening to meaning. I was too focused on grammar, too scared of mistakes, too busy translating every word in my head. That's why I couldn't keep up. So one day, I decided to rebuild my listening from the ground up. And what happened next changed everything. Now, before I tell you what I did, let me ask you something. Do you think native speakers understand every single word in a conversation? No, they don't. Not even close. They listen for ideas, not every word. And when they miss something, they use context to guess the meaning. That's the first secret I learned. When you stop trying to hear every single word, your brain relaxes. And that's when you start understanding more. Let me show you how I trained this skill. Every morning, I listened to one short clip. Sometimes it was a podcast, sometimes a movie scene, sometimes even a YouTube video. But here's the rule. I didn't pause. I didn't rewind. I didn't stress. I just listened once and tried to answer one question. What is this about? Not, what does this word mean? Just, what's happening here? And guess what? At first, I understood maybe 30%, then 40%, then 60%. Then one day, it just clicked. I stopped hearing random sounds. I started hearing real English. That's when I entered what I call flow mode. You know that feeling when you're totally in the zone? You're watching a show in English and suddenly you realize you're actually following the story. You're laughing at the jokes. You're reacting naturally. That's flow. And once you feel it, you'll never want to go back. So, how do you get there? Let me give you 3 steps that worked for me. Step 1. Listen for emotion, not perfection. Don't panic if you miss words. Focus on the feeling of what people say. Are they happy? Angry? Excited? The tone tells you more than half the meaning. When someone says, not again," you know they're frustrated, even if you miss the rest. Train your ears to catch emotion first. Understanding will follow. Step 2. Listen many times, but with purpose. The first time, listen for the main idea. The second time, listen for details. The third time, shadow the speaker. Repeat what they say out loud with their rhythm. This helps your mouth and ears work together. It's like karaoke, but for English. If you've never tried shadowing, pause this episode later and try it with your favorite clip. Then tell me in the comments how it feels. Deal? Now, step 3. Stop translating in your head. This is the hardest one, but also the most powerful. When you hear dog, don't think of the word in your language. See the image of a dog in your mind. When you hear rain, picture it falling outside. Your brain learns faster when it connects words to pictures, not translations. So next time you listen, try to imagine what's happening, like a movie in your mind. Now, let me tell you a secret most learners don't know. Listening is not about speed. It's about expectation. When your brain already knows what might come next, you hear faster. That's why you understand your favorite shows more easily. You know the characters, the context, the story. So don't worry about listening fast. Build your expectation muscle, and speed will come naturally. Now, let me ask you something. When was the last time you had an English conversation and you pretended to understand? Come on, be honest. We've all done it. But here's my challenge to you. Next time, don't fake it. Say, "Sorry, could you say that again, please?" Or, "Can you repeat that slowly?" That's not weakness. That's confidence. Fluent speakers don't know everything. They just know how to keep the conversation going. So, let's recap. I went from frustration to flow by changing my approach. And I stopped chasing every word. I started listening for meaning, emotion, and rhythm. And I built my confidence one small step at a time. You can do the same. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, what's the most difficult part of listening for you? Is it speed? Accent? Vocabulary? I read every single comment, and your stories help me make better episodes for you. So don't be shy. This is your space. And remember, you can go from frustration to flow